Welcome to California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Tony Mendoza. You know him. He was a member of the California State Assembly. He is now a nominee for the California State Senate. And so I want to speak with you about education. Before you were in the Assembly, and in the year since you left the Assembly, you have been a classroom teacher.
Yes.
And so there's a big change in California, in the nation, and that's known as Common Core. So you had taught in the No Child Left Behind era, and now teaching a little bit in between your time in the Common Core era. Give us a sense of how it is.
Well, it's an interesting perspective because I think it's always well-intentioned, just like
Right.
No Child Left Behind. But there's always the issue of resources and proper training for our teachers. And I think that's the frustrating part that most of the teachers feel, that it's like we're still No Child Left Behind with
Right.
a different name. They don't have the resources, the training that they need. We're almost halfway through the year. We're
Right, sure.
quarter of the way in, and there's still a lot of teachers that haven't been trained on it.
It's interesting you say that. Governor Brown, I think while you were in office, I'm not sure, or maybe the following year, he had set aside for money for Common Core training. I think it was over $1 billion. But like you said, it can take a while for that money to come down. And so are things getting better on this front in terms of teacher familiarity with the new regime?
Yes, but again, it's an opportunity for the teachers to actually get to know the subject matter
Right.
and really own it, practice among themselves, learn among themselves, and then go institute it in their classrooms. Now, I mean, sometimes it's just another rebranding of something that we've used in the past.
But do you think it is rebranding? This does feel different. I mean, with No Child Left Behind, and this is just my perception, the focus was a lot of subjects, but not too deep. With Common Core, it seems like fewer topics, but a little deeper.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. These are more thematic units.
Right.
When I first started teaching, like 15, 16 years
Right.
ago, we were using thematic units.
Right,
Then we got
okay.
away from it, and we started
I
going
see.
into phonics and
Right.
and more specific little
Right.
pieces of actual teaching. But it was weird because we go back to the thematic. I'm like, that's cool. I did that.
Right,
way
right.
back when. So it's like
I want to ask you, as you may know, there are certain forces within various political parties that have been agitating against Common Core. A well-known TV talk show host he rented out hundreds of theaters throughout the nation and held this seminar, this forum against Common Core. Have you heard much in terms of agitation in your district? Those that are concerned about Common Core feel like it's a federal encroachment. They don't want this to be implemented.
No, not. I haven't seen that backlash. I mean, the only thing I've heard is just people that feel that they haven't been trained or haven't have that resources to really implement it correctly, but not a backlash
Right.
like we don't want this, get it out of here. We haven't had that.
So presuming you're victorious with the upcoming election, what would you want to do to improve that training element as a member of the California State Senate? Do we need legislation? Do we need resources, funding? What do we need?
It's a little bit of that. All those three, because in reality, sometimes the money's there, or maybe the school district's not using it correctly. You might have to give them a little nudge or push to come on,
Right.
put it back into the actual classroom, into training. Something they want to use it for something else, maybe more materials. They want to use it in a different way. So we want to make sure we guide them and push them into providing those kind of opportunities.
I know you've been working hard running for the seat, and you're talking to constituents. I want to get a sense if your constituents are talking to you about the drought and the water crisis. Is that on top of mind? We have bureaus in Northern California, and your counterparts will say, oh, our constituents are always talking about this. In Southern, it doesn't feel that way. What do you feel?
I think you're right. In Southern California, we have our green lawns.
Right.
We just wash our cars. We take it for granted. But in reality, a lot of the people actually are beginning to take notice.
They are.
They notice that there's no rain.
Right.
They actually want rain, which
Right.
is we usually don't want it. But you hear a lot of it on the news, and I think people are beginning to realize that, when earlier this year when there was mentioned that we weren't getting any more water from the aqueduct,
Right.
we're going to shut it down for Northern California. That really made an impact on people. Like,
It
whoa,
did.
First time in the history of the aqueduct, we're going to shut it down.
I want to ask you, I know that you represent significant communities that are of Latino descent. And sometimes I watch the news in Spanish. I speak some Spanish, but not as well as most. Is the Spanish media, to the extent you watch it, covering the drought as frantically as the English language media is?
You know what? I haven't seen a big difference
Right,
on that.
okay.
I know they covered it in the sense that because of the agricultural
Well
part of
stated,
it.
good point.
Because
Yes.
in the Central Valley, obviously, We have a lot. We depend on this agricultural economy. It's the largest exporter. If California, $33 billion industry.
We're the salad bowl to the nation.
Yeah, this is it. And so our farmers are in need, and I wholeheartedly support them. I do think we need to provide them with more water resources, and I think that impacts the Latino community directly, and you'll see it play out in the media. So I think it is playing on both.
It is on top of mind. We know that there is a bond on the ballot and on November 4th, Election Day, November 4th, Proposition 1, a water bond. Are you hearing much from your constituents about that? Are they aware of the water bond? Are they aware that apparently there's bipartisan support of the water bond? The political establishment would like to see it passed, Democrats, Republicans. What's their view of it?
Yes, everybody is becoming more and more aware of it right now, actually. There is some media, some ads coming out. But I think for the most part, knowing that there's a drought and knowing that there's water bond is actually going to be helpful. And there's very little opposition. You don't see anybody really coming out and say, this is bad for... So that really does help, because if there's no opposition really putting an effort against it, the voters will most likely support it. And right now it's polling very well. And we were actually, when I was in the Assembly, we helped to craft that legislation so that our respective communities are able to apply for grants to allow us to depend less on outside water sources and begin to actually use some of the same resources that we have, water that we have here, and recycle them and put it back into the ground aquifers so we can reuse again.
Groundwater. I want to shift gears slightly and talk about, I guess it would be your predecessor presuming victory. I know you would represent a new district with redistricting, but part of your district has been represented by Ron Calderon. Mr. Calderon is currently under indictment. He is one of three senators that were under indictment. Leland Yee's under indictment. Of course, Rod Wright has been convicted, has been sentenced to jail. As you are talking to constituents, are they aware of, we'll call it the corruption scandals?
Yes, especially certain parts of my district that was represented by Mr. Calderon. They do feel that there's a stigma there, and they do feel a little bit disappointed. So it's something that we need to pay attention to, because our districts have not had any kind of senatorial representation for over 2 years.
Yes.
And it's they do feel that there's a void there, and it always goes to the same theory of taxation without representation, right?
Yes.
The same statement there. So at this point, that's the way it is.
So what do you do, presuming victory, when you walk in to the halls of Sacramento in December as a representative of the district, where the prior person in that seat, was really lambasted for some egregious behavior, if you believe what the indictment says?
The first thing is you got to build the confidence back up for the people. And the way, when I was in the Assembly, the way you do that is you directly go into the community and you create opportunities for the public to come meet you, hear what they have to say as far as their needs, and address those needs, and provide your office as a direct opportunity for them to come and negotiate government. A lot of people are afraid to deal with government. They don't know how to deal with government, and they depend on people like myself that are able to communicate and be able to have access for them.
And it's interesting you mentioned the need to communicate, because, as you know, a state Senate district in California is larger than a congressional district. It's larger than some states. I mean, you represent almost 1 million people. And so how do you plan to engage in that communication? I mean, this is your business card. We'll hold it up and we'll push in on it. I mean, look at that list of cities. It's 3 columns, 5-6 columns deep, or 5-6 cities deep.
Right. In our district actually staggers 2 counties, LA and Orange County.
Right.
Actually, I like that challenge. I like the opportunity to actually go and meet the different members from the different communities, and we're very ethnically diverse. We have, in this particular district, we have a large population. Not only the largest Asian population is actually Filipino.
Oh, really?
And then you have Chinese, and you have Korean, and you have some Japanese, but you have Armenian. I mean, Portuguese. I mean, you have a huge...
Latinos.
Of course, the largest minority population is Latinos, but for me, it's like, wow, what a great opportunity to have such a great district.
A lot of fun.
And get to know a lot of people.
Thanks for joining us. His name is Tony Mendoza. He is a nominee for the California State Senate, Election Day, November 4th. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's California Edition.